anyone can do it. You're probably far better prepared to make the jump than I was at the time that I did it. So just go for it. Plan first.
This is the How to Quit Working Show. Jeff Steinman believes entrepreneurship is the only true path to freedom. That's why he created the How to Quit Working Show, where you'll hear stories, insights, and inspiration from lifestyle fanatics who left their soul-sucking 9-to-5 job forever. Now, here's your host, author, entrepreneur, and ultimate lifestyle fanatic, Jeff Steinman.
Hello and welcome to the How to Quit Working Show. Today we're going to talk to Jessica Greenwald about how she left her job to become a full-time graphic designer and web developer and starting her own business doing that. And actually the thing that's so interesting about this is the things that she did long before she even considered starting a business that actually positioned her well to do that, actually even going all the way back to some things that she did when she was in high school. So great advice from Jessica coming up. Before we jump into that, I wanted to remind you, as always, you can go over and continue the conversation on Facebook. It's at howtoquitworking.com/group. We'll shoot you over to Facebook where you can jump into conversation with other people just like yourself who are quitting their job and starting a business and get advice and support and feedback and even just maybe make some friends. So go to howtoquitworking.com/group and jump into that conversation now. Let's talk to Jessica Greenwald about how she quit her job and started her business. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jessica, you have a graphic design firm, and you've also got some other entrepreneurial ventures that we'll talk about as well. But I think it's really interesting because you did out of college work a job, but you kind of always had that whole entrepreneurial thing going on in the back of your head. Tell us a little bit about that first job that you had after college.
Oh, okay. So before my after college job, I actually had a design firm when I was in high school. So I had been doing freelance design the entire time I went through college, the entire time I had a full-time job. And the full-time job, or I guess normal job that everyone calls it, was interesting at first. It was something I wasn't very used to doing because in school you have these chunks of time that you spend with different teachers studying different subjects. You get a lot of variety. But then you go out into the quote-unquote working world, and you sit in the same place for 8 hours every day in the exact same location, work with the same people. Not that that's bad, but right? Exactly. You go from this world where you have all this variety and you're doing all these crazy fun things, college, and then they drop you right into this situation where everything stays the same every day. And as a creative, as a graphic designer, who's supposed to be coming up with new things all the time and new ways to present data or explain things, and to be put into that environment where you do the same thing every day, all the time for huge blocks of days, you're 8 hours every day or more, or however long they want you to stay there. It's kind of crazy, actually. I actually thought it was a little bit insane, a little bit like being a rat in a lab experiment, right? So that they could see kind of what this environment did to you.
And what did it do to you?
Well, it made me question what everyone thought was normal, because this, of course, when you say, oh, I'm just going to go freelance after college, everyone gets really worried about you. They're like, oh, you're going to be starving in a ditch somewhere, or, something artist, right? And then they're like, no, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go get this full-time job and do this thing. It's called job security, et cetera, et cetera. And then you do it, and then you kind of start to think, maybe those people are crazy if they think this is normal, right? And I would talk to one of my coworkers who wanted to be a writer, right? That's all she wanted to do. So I asked her, well, why don't you go do that? And she's like, oh, I'll do it next year. And then one day I asked her, because a year had passed, I was like, what happened to that writing thing? And she's like, oh, I'll do it next year. And I was like, how long have you been telling yourself you're going to do that? And she says, oh, I think about it every year. And she had been working there for 8 years. So when I heard that, I just thought, this is never going to, I'm never going to let this happen to me. I'm not always going to be the person who says next year. I'll do it next year. So I quit.
Excellent. Excellent. So you quit, and then what did you do?
Well, since I had been working on my freelance stuff the entire time, I'd been going through college and doing my full-time job. At some point, the amount of work that was coming in for my freelance business was already enough to support myself. And I had just been turning away a lot of work. I did the math. I found out that if I just, instead of turning away the projects, just accepted them and did that as my full-time thing, I could make twice what I was making at my full-time job for half the amount of time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that sounds like a pretty easy decision.
Yeah, well, and that's what I thought too. But then you get advice from other people who are used to working in a, I guess, standard office environment or doing that normal track, that path, that life path where you graduate college and then you do this job and you're supposed to climb up in the ranks, do this job, whatever, the thing that doesn't make any sense to me. But that was standard, and that's what everyone wants you to do because they think that will help you, right? And understandably so. That's what we've been taught from very young age. And I don't know, just it seems crazy to me. So that's why I think when people have these ideas and they want to go off and do their own thing and they go in to get advice from people who have not done that thing, who are used to what is considered normal, those people who are used to the quote unquote normal world get a little worried about you because they're thinking, well, how does that work? That's something I've never experienced. It sounds really scary. It's uncharted territory. So they get worried about you and they advise you not to do it. So that's why it takes a little longer.
It's the fear of the unknown, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Can I ask how old you are?
I am 29. I'm not 30 yet. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think one of the things that's really interesting about you is your transition from working the traditional corporate job to having your own business is probably one of the smoothest. Now, this is going to be episode like 140 something. So I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs who left their full-time job and started their own business, and I've heard a lot of different stories. And I got to say, this is probably one of the easiest transitions that I've ever heard of. But I think I know the reason.
Okay.
And the reason is because, as you told me a little bit, I think before we started recording the show, you've been doing freelance graphic design work since high school.
Yeah.
So probably 15 years plus. Now, how long ago did you actually leave your job and start your firm?
Oh boy. 2010, I want to say. Is that right?
Okay. So about 4 years ago.
Yeah, holy cow.
Yeah. I'm sure it seems like just yesterday. But the thing is, it's not like you didn't make that leap that many people make, right? Because you had been doing, not only since high school had you been doing the freelance graphic design work, you kept doing it even while you were still employed. So you kept that client base going. You kept building those testimonials, and you kept keeping your feelers out there for new work. And it actually sounds like it reached a point where you were getting more work than you could accept. But I think that's really interesting. It's not really that in the grand scheme of things it was any easier for you, just that you were at it for quite some time. So you were probably about 24 when you started your own company. So you'd been at it for 6 or 8 years probably at that point, right?
Yeah, and I gotta say, when people ask me for advice on how to go out and do their own thing, I tell them, you don't have to quit your job right now. You can go do your own thing. You can work on your freelance business or build your business on the side, and you're going to have a lot of long days, but it certainly makes things a lot easier when you do make that jump, right? You have a lot of cushion built up. Yeah.
Well, Jessica, what would you say to somebody out there that says, well, I want to quit my job and do that, but easy for Jessica to do when she already had the clients?
But that was very intentional. I had all the clients because I knew I wanted them and I wanted to do this. I had a plan the entire time that I wanted to have a design firm. Since I was in high school, I knew that. So I knew what I had to do, right? You go out, you got to build a portfolio. In my case, I had to build a portfolio of work. And I think that works for a lot of companies. You want to have clients that you've already worked with so you can put them up on your site, building a web presence. A lot of people will talk about that now, that it's not about building your reputation within your own firm or the company that you're currently working at. It's about building your reputation out there on the web, because that's the first thing people are going to do when they hear about you or considering hiring you or working with you or working with your company. They're going to go look you up. So now it's all about building up your own personal brand. And this is something you have to do now, even if you are working for someone else currently. Because people make the jump now. It's very common to be an entrepreneur. Everyone wants to go do their own thing. You gotta start building that reputation now.
So how does one go about building that reputation? Maybe you're still working a full-time job and you're not sure what you want to do, but you do want to start building that reputation. What's the best way to get started with that?
Well, so for people who don't have web expertise, so it's easy for someone who's a web developer, right? Graphic designer, you go and you build your website and maybe you blog a little bit and you are able to make the tools that you need to get your presence out there exactly as you want it done.
Yeah.
But now there are so many tools for anyone, even if you don't know how to code, to go ahead and start a website or start a blog or at least get on social media, Twitter, Facebook, make your own Facebook company page, whatever company it is that you're planning on starting, and get a following there. Start writing about things that are relevant to your target market and build up a following before you even launch your business. That's what a lot of my friends do now, so that by the time that they want to announce something about their business or launching a new product, they already have followers on Twitter because they've been writing or reposting articles. You don't even need to write stuff. You just repost articles about things that are interesting to the target market that they want to reach.
So really start building up a presence online, get people to start to know who you are. And Jessica, while you're doing that, do you necessarily have to know what kind of company you're going to start?
You know, it helps because then you have a more specific audience that's following you, right? But I've known friends who will just start posting about whatever they think, quote unquote clickbait, whatever they think will get the most followers so that when they do have an announcement, it'll just reach as many people as possible. And it works. They'll get thousands of followers within a few weeks. There's a really good tool for this. And I am in no way affiliated with this company, but I love what they do and I love their product and I use it all the time. It's Buffer app. And they will you can hook it up to all your social media accounts and, LinkedIn including, and have things posted to all those accounts on a schedule. So you don't even have to worry about it or pick a time in your day when you have to sit down and come up with all these articles to share or post or whatever this content. And it'll even suggest content for you to reshare to your followers.
Very cool. Anybody out there who follows any of the How to Quit Working social media channels, it all comes from Buffer. So it is a tool.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, excellent. Jessica, tell us a little bit about your life now. What are things like for you? What does a day look like for Jessica?
It's not very consistent, I can tell you. I am currently in Washington State visiting my family. I'm looking outside on our patio and it's covered with snow, so I'm freezing. But I'm usually in California. I live in Berkeley, and I travel a bit. I travel a lot recently, and I kind of work as needed, right? I'll binge work, and then sometimes I'll get a big project done, and then I'll take a lot of time off because I need it. But the cool thing is I control that, and I think that's what a lot of people who would be listening to your show would be interested in doing, is having a lot more control over their schedule and their life.
Yeah, being able to just take a couple weeks off because you want to.
Because you earned it. Because you did something really cool and you put it out there in the world, and now it's time to take a breather.
You did something really cool and you put it out in the world. What a great way to put it. Jessica, tell us about what is the biggest piece of advice that you would have for somebody who's sitting out there listening and they hear what you're saying and they think it all sounds great and they want to go for it?
Well, I kind of wish I did this a little better before I just made the jump. I kind of made a lot of assumptions and quit my job and then kind of just saw how things went. Okay. I didn't do a lot of planning is my point. And if you're a planner, you've got an advantage over me right there. If you think I had a smooth transition, it'll probably be even 10 times better for you because I didn't really think anything through. I just kind of went for it and it worked out. I made a lot of mistakes along the way and it probably could have gone way smoother. Could have avoided a lot of other trouble. And I gotta say, it helps if you plan I would talk to someone who has done it before, who has gone from the transition of working a full-time job to going and doing their own thing, because they'll know a lot about details that you might not even consider, like health insurance and business fees and licensing and all that fun stuff that I personally can't stand thinking about. Those are all the things that trip me up. So
well,
you do your research.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because, you said if you're a planner, and some folks out there are planners and some folks are not planners. I'm more like you. I don't like to plan. I think planning is boring.
Right.
But I also understand the necessity of it. And planning is just one example of many things that you have to do in a business that you don't necessarily enjoy. How do you deal with all of those things that you don't enjoy? The accounting and planning and all that kind of boring stuff.
Well, I schedule those things out, and I pick a specific day, and I write out a block of time on my calendar where I will get that done. I will do nothing but get that done. At some point, I've learned to train myself to actually enjoy the things I originally did not enjoy so much, like public speaking. I'm originally really introverted, and getting out there and networking and then getting out in front of crowds, not my idea of a good time, but it has made a big difference in my career, and I realize that it's very important. So I put in the effort to practice that and go out there. And after a while, you do it so much that it becomes comfortable. And then that comfort feels nice. And you actually start thinking, hey, I kind of like this now. So you can teach yourself to like the things that you didn't initially enjoy.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Jessica, what does success mean to you?
Oh boy. Different things at different times. Some days, like maybe today after this, after this conversation, I'm going to take it easy because I've been working pretty hard. And that's what success feels like to me, is when I recognize my limits and recognize what I need and make sure I get what it is that I need and don't push myself too hard. Balance, I guess, would be some form of success.
And the freedom to pursue that balance, because it's your time, it's coming up on noon, I think. So,
yeah.
If you were in a full-time job, you would kind of just have to be there for a couple more hours, whether you liked it or not.
Oh, yeah. It's tough, because when I was working full-time, when I was working at that job, a lot of us would just stay there. When I was done with all the work I had to do, I would just go home sometimes, and then I got in trouble for that. And I asked the manager, I was like, well, I finished all my work. What am I supposed to do? He's like, just sit there. Just stay there. I don't know. Go on Facebook or something. And I'm like, what's the point of that? Right? I was like, why? Why would I do that? And he's like, so that it doesn't reduce everyone else's morale around you who sees you get up and leave. And I just thought that was so bizarre. Everything about this was totally bizarre to me.
That's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. We'll just sit there on Facebook.
Just stay there. They just wanted me to stay there for the full 8 hours just for morale, right? Like, other people see you leaving, and I guess they get kind of bummed that they still have to be there. And yeah, I see that, but that's so weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice to not have to be bound to rules that might not make a whole lot of sense. That seem to be silly or just in place for strange reasons. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I actually like to get work done, and then when I'm done with the work, take a break because I've earned it. That's actually part of doing a good job on something. You need to give yourself some rest so that you can recuperate and do something else really cool and big.
Absolutely. Amazing stuff. Jessica, what's the last thought that you want to leave our listeners with?
You can do it. If you want to go out and do your own thing, if I could do it with my complete lack of planning skills and what I started with, complete lack of social skills, if I can do it, anyone can do it. You're probably far better prepared to make the jump than I was at the time that I did it. So just go for it. Plan first and then go for it.
Amazing, amazing advice. Jessica, where can we go to get more information about you and your company?
Pixelkeet.com. That's Pixel, like the little square, and then KEET, like a parakeet, but pixelated.com. It's it's because I love parakeets.
Excellent. We'll go to pixelkeet.com, and that's linked up below. Jessica, thanks so much for coming on the show, sharing your knowledge and your experience, your hard-earned experience, so generously with our audience. I know they appreciate it. I appreciate it. And I wish you the best of luck, and I can't wait to see what amazing things you do next.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Great advice from Jessica. As always, love hearing from inspiring entrepreneurs who have done exactly what they wanted to. And the thing that I think is so interesting about Jessica is, she always knew that this was what she wanted to do. And she was taking steps for and preparing for it from day one. And we talked briefly about kind of why she went down the job route. Kind of some pressure from her family to get a regular job, do the normal thing. But she quickly broke away from that. And because of the fact that she never lost sight of that vision, and she always held that vision in her mind, she was always doing something to move herself towards actually having her own business. And that's what I think is so great and so inspirational about Jessica. And the other thing that I think is really interesting about her situation is when it came to her actual transition, because she had been doing so much freelance work on the side for so long, she had a great portfolio, she had clients coming to her already. When she actually made her transition, it was financially really much easier than it is for most folks who haven't been spending that much time building up the client base and the portfolio that she had. But the thing that's so interesting about that is it was still difficult for her. It was still difficult for her, as she said, to kind of make that leap and really trust herself and trust that if indeed she did start taking on these contracts instead of turning them away, that she would actually end up making more money. Well, it's worked out really well for her, so encourage you to check out her website. It's all linked up below the show, pixelkeet.com, and see if there's anything there that might be of interest to you. And also, if you listen to this and you're like, okay, that's it, I want to do this, I'm really serious, go over to howtoquitworking.com/coaching and schedule some time to talk to Heather Osgood, the How to Quit Working coach, about getting some help doing this. Because what really would help you more than actually having someone who has done this before multiple times and knows the pitfalls, knows what you need to watch out for right there alongside you, guiding you along the way and giving you that positive inspiration, feedback, and coaching along the way. So go to howtoquitworking.com/coaching, reach out to Heather, and you know what we're going to do again the next time? We're going to talk to another amazing entrepreneur who quit their job and started their own business like we do all the time. So tune in for that, and until then,
thanks for joining us on the How to Quit Working show. Tune in next time when we'll talk to another amazing person just like you who is now living the ultimate life of freedom and doing it on their terms. If you want to learn how to quit working and get these episodes delivered directly to you, visit howtoquitworkingshow.com.